All right. We're good.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing all right, man.
That's good.
Yeah. Did anybody buy those comic books?
No, I was going to put them out like tomorrow.
Okay. I think Anthony wants one.
Because I kind of wanted to like let our good customers get at them.
I was surprised James doesn't want one.
He hasn't been in.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't seen him for a week. I think
Maybe
he was
he's
in
got
Friday or
something going
Saturday.
on.
Yeah.
Hope he's doing good.
He better. This is for him.
Oh yeah. So this is we're gonna wrap up the Brothers War today. So this is part 2 to the Patreon thing that we were supposed to do.
Why'd you say we were supposed to do?
I mean, it's just our schedule's been weird. Well, my schedule's been super weird. So I haven't really got a chance to get around. So again, apologize about the late podcast, I guess. But let's wrap this Brothers War up. So where we left off last time was the kind of like the aftermath of what happened in the camp between Mishra and Urza, killing Takasiel and everything by accident. So we talked about Urza and how he went to Krug, to the city of Krug, and then he basically won the tournament. He only wanted to enter the tournament not to marry the beautiful princess, or any of the gold or the power stones. He wanted that damn book. So because it had Thran writing on it. Yep. And I told you it was something's tome. What was it again? I wrote it down, but I forgot my notes.
I don't know why the word Jiraiya or something.
No, it's an actual artifact. It really fucking sucks. It's like pay 50 million life and.
Oh, it's like an actual card?
It's an actual artifact. It's an older artifact. It's just really terrible. It's like draw a card or do something stupid.
Jayad's Tome?
I think so. No.
Okay.
I want to say it starts with an L.
I'll do research. Okay.
So basically, he just entered the tournament just to basically get the damn book. So that's why Urza's a nerd. So then, as the book goes, we go into what happens to Mishra after he leaves the camp. Because Mishra just ran into the desert. So Mishra basically got kidnapped, or not, I guess you'd say kidnapped, and enslaved by the Falaji people of the desert. Remember, they're like the nomads of that desert. Mm-hmm. So they pretty much kidnapped him, made him into a slave, pretty much wearing him down until he's almost dead. Until one day, his buddy that he was gonna basically go steal Urza's Might Stone. That buddy, remember I told you was going with him at the middle of the night. They were both drunk. Yeah. He shows up to the camp that Mishra's enslaved at. So then he asks him, "Oh, I didn't know you were a slave." And then he puts in a good word with the warlord of that camp, the leader of that camp, of the Falaji people, of that tribe. Because the Falaji people have different tribes. So he put in a good word for him. And he pretty much got him a position to where he can teach the leader's son about history and Argivian language and all that stuff. So basically, this kid didn't want nothing to learn. He was just like some dope dealing kid, just some, dumbass kid that plays Grand Theft Auto and gets yeet and all that fun stuff.
Your little pause there, like it's like you said it and you were trying to think if that was the right word you want to use.
Yeah, so he's just kind of one of those punk ass kids that don't want to do shit. So Mishra had to make things interesting, and he taught this kid. Didn't think this kid's gonna learn shit because he knew he was a dumbass. It's like, this kid's a fucking dumbass. I can't teach him shit. So then things happen, and then one big event happens there. So towards the end of the chapter, where Mishra's, you're finding out what's happening to him. He has these nightmares. So he's been having nightmares since the vision. So he has a nightmare that he's in Phyrexia.
Okay.
So then Gix, gave it away. All right. So there was a being that it's like basically, living robot with all these tentacles. It's pretty much Gix. So if anybody that plays Magic, they know what Gix is. He's been kind of like the puppet master or semi puppet master. He's pretty much like he's Yawgmoth's like right hand man. He's kind of at that time he was his right hand man. He was kind of like the guy that basically did all his shit, So basically he had a dream, and then he was getting chased by Gix. But then he also saw the dragon engine in Phyrexia. And then but the dragon engines liked him. So they pretty much they weren't trying to kill him or anything like that, but they obeyed him, like but Mishra. So then that was really unique. So then he woke up from his dream from Gix chasing him, and as he wakes up, he's screaming. The camp starts trembling, and then out of the sand comes out 2 dragon engines. So here's some things since I took away from that. So in the story, he summoned those dragon engines.
Like with his dream?
I think Mishra always had these powers, and I think Urza always did too. They just kind of like hinted at him, because I'll explain later later in the story. Okay. Why they hint at these powers, because right now they're not talking about anything of that. They're not talking about magic at all. They're just talking about man-made machine, science, that type of deal.
Okay.
So basically, he summoned these 2 dragon engines. He has them pretty much. They obey him. They obey Mishra. So the warlord, or not the warlord, the leader of that tribe was like, well, shit. You work for me, so those engines work for me also. We're going to go raid. So they start using... So now they're going on these campaigns to where they're just like pretty much just raiding other tribes and cities within their desert realm. And then they're keep pretty much doing this, and their army is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. At this point, Mishra meets Ashnod. So Ashnod becomes his apprentice. So, but Ashnod is kind of, she's kind of a scientist / psychopath redhead. She is crazy. So basically, they try to invade the city that she was at, but the dragon engines wouldn't go there. It's because they all had these staffs. Basically, at the end of these staffs, they're like power stones, but they're modified. She modified them to where they can pretty much like put if it's a living being, it just puts them in the most agonizing pain if they point the spirit at you. So, but again, it takes a big toll on the user.
Okay.
So it's like a double-edged sword. So she invented that stuff. And so pretty much so they go to the city, and then Mishra convinces her to join their team, and she's like, well, why not? So then she becomes Mishra's apprentice.
Okay.
So now this scene is pretty much cut away from Mishra and Ashot meeting up, them having a partnership. The first night they actually bump uglies, but I ain't gonna say nothing. Yep. But so again, the summoning thing. So I don't know if you remember Mishra's card in Time Spiral Time Spiral, but in Time Spiral he could bring creature or artifacts from the graveyard or from your library or from your hand, and you could put it into play.
Yeah, like if you
that
played,
was his ability.
You played one, you'd look for the one with the same name.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was pretty ridiculous.
There's people play him as a commander.
I don't know how.
I don't know how. He's on EDH Rec.
I don't know how.
That's
maybe it's just like a house rule. We could play 2 ofs or something. He's just like, if that card is by far very, very good.
Yeah.
Like that ability.
Yeah.
It's really, really good.
There's no artifacts that say you can have more than one in the deck, is there? Yeah, at least.
But it wouldn't really matter. Like if you play, I don't know,
something like those Shadowborn Apostles, but if it was an
even
artifact.
Mishra's Bauble, you pay 1, you play for the 0, go search your library, play another one, stuff like that.
No, yeah, no, I was going back on the commander piece. Like I didn't know if there was any, and I didn't know if that caused like why they're doing it. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, get a bauble, get another bauble. Yeah,
yeah. Unless they do break the mold and finally make an artifact that you can have multiple copies of it.
Yeah,
like they had the rats, and the recent one was the advisors.
Yeah,
isn't there one more?
There's a Shadowborn. There's that blue thing that makes you mill those creatures from the recent Ravnica block.
Yeah, the advisors.
Oh, that's what you're talking. Yeah, there's the rats. There's that new Dragon's Approach thing, and I thought there was one more because that's why that Thrumming Stone's going up in price. It's like $50.
Ugh, gross. Oh, back to my story. So then it skips out. So Mishra, hooks up with Ashion. They're building their army in the desert, so they're getting really big. So this catches the attention of the warlord of Krug, and he doesn't like that. And all the cities around there are not liking that. So he's allying these groups to, hey, we need to handle these guys, because they got rumors that they have giant, pretty much dragon engines, live dragons that are not pretty much alive. They're just machines, but they move like pretty much like real animals. So there's a liveness to them. So they're not like a regular machine where they've only seen that it's like clunky noise, it moves slow, but these dragon engines their technology is like far beyond anything they've ever seen, but they have 2 of them. So then next minute, so then it goes back to Urza, and then Thanos, which is famous for a lot of things. He's made the clay statues. He's influenced the Avon clockworks.
Mm-hmm.
And he's made Thanos' coffin.
Oh, yeah, that expensive ass card.
Yeah, so he made that, and I think there was the clay statues. I think that was pretty much it. All the other stuff was like Urza stuff, but he did influence the Avon clockworkers. That was his idea. The Urza. So he comes to become Urza's apprentice, and he was actually a toy maker. So that's why Urza kind of picked him, because he just kind of has all these little weird inventions that could be really useful, and he's thinking outside the box. So Instantly, you know, him and Urza have a good relationship. They become like the best friends. So then a little bit of time goes by. Mishra is not leading the tribe at all, right? It's the little kid. Mm-hmm. He's now in power. The kid that he was tutoring. So then they go to a summit to basically work out a deal. They're like, hey man, let's try to figure this out. We don't really want to go to war, and but Urza was super, cautious. So he brought a bunch of ornithopters and his machine, a couple of his machines. He has no names for them yet. So then they go to this camp. They pretty much meet in the middle of the desert. All these different pretty much cities and tribes and stuff. They're trying to figure out what we can do to create peace. But it was an ambush. So, but when Urza got there, he didn't know Mishra was involved with those people, and he got there, and they just kind of nodded at each other. They knew who each other were, but they didn't say a single fucking thing to each other. That's how fucking crazy it is. So the kid kills the king. Or no, my bad. Reverse. The warlord of Krug.
Okay.
He tries to kill the king.
Okay.
But in an attempt to kill the little kid, he can killed himself. So by his bodyguards, the little kid's bodyguards kill him. So then that happens. Shit breaks out. Fucking, so then hell breaks loose. Urza gets away. And then Urza gets away. Mishra's trying to like fucking kill him. And then he was just like, all right, so they all parted ways. So then they were like, okay. And after a while, the kid didn't survive. He got wounded, just didn't survive. So now Mishra is the leader of the group because now people are listening to him because he has those dragon engines. So now a little bit of time's gone by, maybe a few years and stuff gone by, and then Mishra's working on his stuff. So he's got the Mishra factory. So his Mishra's workshop looks more like the Mishra's factory, the old artwork. Mm-hmm. They describe that artwork a lot. Like they got they made their base in these huge hollow trees. They hollowed out these trees, and they're like working out of there. And they're Mishra's just basically going around He's like still raiding, but not raiding for like power stones or anything. He's for books. He's trying to figure out what can he create to basically, advance himself, get better, understand some things. So then, so again, time has gone by, and then Mishra's like, he's getting no answers. So then he's like, fuck it, we're going back to Korlos caves. They go back to the caves. He uses his weak stone to open the portal again. So where they were at originally, that was a portal where that stone was at before it split. So it opens up a gate, like basically a circular disc, and him and Ashanad, they walk through it, and then they're in Phyrexia. They notice that the land was just basically dark and oil everywhere, smoke, and they were noticing like all the living stuff is all metal. Like it's all metal. Like the leaves are like razor sharp. And, Ashnod cuts herself trying to touch one of the leaves and stuff, and then they saw like a living, like basically bug, and then it would move. It moved so freely and everything. Like they try to, get closer to it, and it flew off. So then they keep walking, and so then and the reason they went to there is because Mishra has a paranoia that Urza's trying to get revenge for all this for killing the king and all that stuff for at that meeting. And he said he keeps claiming that he said my brother doesn't give up. That's not who he is. I have to advance. So that's why his last resort, after even raiding all these books and shit, and not finding anything cool, he wants to get more dragons. So they go to Phyrexia, and then as they get inside, they notice there was the pool, and then there was 2 more dragon engines there, and they were just kind of like hanging out at this pool of lake of oil or something. And then they notice Mishra, so then they're like kind of hanging out. And he's like, "Oh shit, these new, animals," and he's gonna pick them up. But at that time that he's meeting up with these, they hear like a loud screech and like from a distance, and it's actually Gix. And then it's enough to where the dragon engines were super scared. And they kind of just ran away and ran into the jungle. So, and then they noticed that the Gix was like rushing at them. And then, so then they kind of like, fuck this. So then they start running to the portal. And basically they didn't think they were going to make it. And as they jump through the portal and remove the, they look back and they can see Gix getting closer and like basically close, like it's super close to the portal as it shuts in front of them. And then they were like, well, okay, that was a waste. And he says, not really. And he summons those next 2 ones. So now he has 4 dragon engines. So he's like, fuck. So he summons, oh no. He only had 1 in the beginning. Now he got 2 more, so he has 3. Okay. 3 dragon engines. He summoned 2 more. So he summoned these other ones, and then the next minute, they're leaving, and then in the chapter, at the end of the chapter, they say they describe that the portal was blinking, and then it opened up for a freaking like a second. And then just a tiny little portal, and Gix puts his arms through like he's trying to claw at something, and then right before it closes, he pulls his arm back in. So that's kind of the cool thing.
This dude's freaky looking.
Yeah, Gix. Yeah, crazy, right? Fucking weird. So that's the scene of Phyrexia. That's the first description that you get from them. From the Phyrexia. So here we go. Now we're Mishras is the leader of the tribe now, of this Phalaji tribe. So then he basically sets up, he's saying, hey, I want to make a peace treaty. I understand that you try to kill us, but I'm going to let this all go. Let's meet it up. So then Mishra and Urza, who are pretty much in power of these 2 different factions, I guess. And they're like, yeah, sure, come to the city Krug, and we'll talking about an alliance or a peace, a peace talk. So they get there, they're acting polite. It's all of is it a facade? Is that how you say it? Is that what you said?
A facade?
Facade.
In reference to...
It was all made up. It's a plan. Fucking Mishra was lying the whole entire time.
Maybe a facade? I don't know.
So, is it... Man, I shouldn't use words that I don't know, I guess. Basically, it was a setup.
Okay.
So, Mishra was just going to go there and fuck them up. Like they basically tried to do to them, because they were meeting. Remember the original one, they were meeting up, but the warlord of Krug was pretty much trying to kill the little kid. Because he says, oh, if I kill the little motherfucker, nobody's going to follow. They're all going to scatter. So Mishra does the exact opposite. So everybody goes to bed. You know, everybody's talking. We're talking about peace. Everybody's liking each other. Everybody's giving high fives and shit. You know, kind of cool, being cool. So, you know, Mishra said, well, I'll keep the peace if you give me your stone. And then Urza was like, fuck you, man. Why you still after my shit? So then, man, Kayla, his wife, she was like bitching. Oh my God, she was bitching. She just wouldn't shut the fuck up. I was like, man, you shut the fuck up, bitch. You don't know what's going on. Man. So basically, she was complaining to Urza, just like, give him the stone. You don't need that. Let's get peace. And he's like, bitch, shut up. This is mine. Do I tell you to give him his shit? No. So then that's what happened. So the end of story. They all go to bed, and Urza wakes up looking for a stone. He's like, where the fuck he got? Oh, hell no. His wife's gone too. So he started running. He started running to Mishra's room. Guess what Mishra's doing?
Pounding Ashnod.
No.
No. I was like, oh my God, am I right?
No, he's pounding Urza's wife. Banging that bitch, like putting it on like YouTube and shit. You know, I don't know what the hell they put porn on, but you know what I mean. He put that shit on the internet. So so Urza walks into his room because he didn't expect his wife to be there butt ass naked. He just expected Mishra there with his fucking stone. But yeah, Mishra had his stone. So everybody's just like panicking shit. It was like, what the fuck's going on? And everybody's yelling. Through this whole thing, Urza got his stone back. So now they're fighting. This butt ass naked chick on the side, and then Mishra and Urza naked? Fighting. Huh?
Is it Mishra naked?
No, he was kind of partly. I think he was already done. He was like maybe he was like a 3 pumper. He was like just 1, 2, 3. I'm done, bitch. You know. He got those 3 pumps. But either way, so they're fighting it out. Mishra escapes, but as that shit's happening, Urza realizes that the city's under fire. It's basically on siege because what's crazy is because he start telling these dragon engines to come, and then this whole fucking city's burning, dude. They get all the Fallujah warriors are coming in, raiding a bitch, taking a dump on the streets, and they're pretty much just fucking them up. So as they fuck them up, they have to do an exit plan. So they're trying to get out of this whole situation. So they're trying to get out of this whole situation. Urza's like, well, I don't know what to fucking do. So he's like, whatever, Mishra escapes, and then city's getting sieged, and then Urza, being the old bitch ass dude he is, he starts chasing Mishra out of the city in the ornithopter, and then he's like bound. He's like fucking crazy at this point. He's just like, oh, you fuck my wife and you try to steal my stone? And it was like, so he's basically chasing him. And he's been chasing, after this whole siege has calmed down, he's been chasing him for months. So then they follow up with another raid after to put them all down. And then at this point, Ashnod got pretty much captured in this whole battle scene from the first time. And then because Mishra just kind of bounced and just like left. So he didn't tell her nothing, and she pretty much became a prisoner. Then her and Thanos are like talking it out and being cool and shit like that, and they become semi acquaintances, kind of respecting each other because they're both apprentices for both of their leaders. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So they're on the opposite side. They're apprentices. So then they kind of buddy. Not in a sexual way, but just buddy. So then Thanos lets her go as the city gets sieged again, and then Urza finds out that the city's getting burned, and then he's like, I gotta head back. So he's trying to head back, and then he doesn't make it in time. Thanos sends away his wife, or sends off Urza's wife, and then he sends a student on an ornithopter with a bunch of the scrolls and books and shit to a different city that's saved, and then pretty much Urza gets to the town, is burnt the fuck down, everything's done, and the whole chaos city's kind of wrecked, and one of the dragon engines was destroyed, and one was wounded. So basically, Mishra is dissecting the dead one, trying to help the other one, trying to figure out the ins and outs of it, but he can't fucking figure it out. So then he pretty much turns him into like a zombie version of like a real machine. He makes real dragon engines, but not like the ones from Phyrexia.
Oh.
So he makes his variant of it, which is terrible. They're still kind of strong because they're big machines, but they're not as graceful. They're not as fast, and they just really loud and clunky and shit like that. So and then he makes these war machines, Mishra's war machine. So that happens. So then, from the siege of that, 4 years passes by. So they do a time jump.
Okay.
So the time jump goes to basically Urza's tower. So Urza is in this fucking tower by himself, hanging out, trying to come up with new inventions to fucking kill his brother or beat his brother. I don't know. He doesn't really want to kill him, but he wants to fucking hurt him.
Gotcha.
So basically he gets there. Thanos and Kala. No, not Kalio. God damn it. Kayla. I keep saying Kalio. Kayla. So Kayla she came with Thanos. Thanos, this is the first time you ever see the clay statues. And then because Thanos has them with him, and Thanos also mentions to Urza, he's like, "Hey, you have a son, by the way." And he's like, "That's not my son." So you know what? he's like, "What the fuck you talking about, man? That's your son, dude." And he's like, what did he say? He said he's got brown hair. That's my father's brown hair, because Urza's blonde, right? He's blonde, tall, and then Mishra's shorter, stouter, kind of stout looking, and with black dark hair. So that kid came out with some brown hair. So we kind of know what happened there. So it doesn't ever say that it's Mishra's son, but it never says it's Urza's son. So, but Urza still, at first he was like really hesitant to even like talk to his wife and accept the kid, and then by the end of the chapters, he started to warm up to him and he accepts him. So they move on. So then, so now at this point, it's just pretty much, it's like them fighting all the time. So there's these little mini battles Urza and Mishra are having, and then it's gotten to the point where Ashnod asked for her own lab instead of going on raids. Mm-hmm. So she invents the transmogners. Transmonars, those. that artifact that turns creatures into an artifact creature. It's like super lame.
Mogrifier?
Yeah. Yeah. Something. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. So basically, she's the one that creates that, and she's also the one that invents the rack.
Oh, okay.
So she creates that. So she's doing all these evil shit. So basically, these transmogners are basically just like zombie live things that don't really talk or anything. They move really slow, fucking just nasty creatures. And she made them. She chopped up some people and just fucking made half machine, half zombie. She's a crazy bitch. So, and then it does a side story talking about the Ivory Towers. So the Ivory Towers, which is a city, it's a part of the city, and that's where you see Feldon from Feldon's Cane, or the red card. It's Feldon. So Feldon goes to the Ivory Towers because he's the one that actually found the Silex. The Silex that it was in a glacier, and he also found his cane that was also in a glacier, which it had partial Thran writing, but then some other writing they could not understand. So then he brings it to these pretty much monks / students, scholars, and hopefully they can figure it out. And then they talk about the Brothers' War and how they should be involved and where they should stand in it. And they were like, we should just stay out of it. That has nothing to do with us. We're just here to study. And then they were like, well, we're going to have to one day come across that we have to basically be, part of this. And then they were like, well, hopefully not. So then we skip out of them. And then around that time, Gix has started a brotherhood. So he has this unique power where he can pretty much control people. Mm-hmm. So he basically like taps into their head. He's kind of like what's it called? It's not a incubus, but it's called like something else, like a eater of thoughts.
Yeah.
There's a name for him. Chad told me about it. He says that because he said that's what the clown the movie It.
Yeah.
That's what that thing is. It eats off your fears.
Okay.
That's the only real reason it would ever eat you. It needs you to be scared. And that's the only will. It doesn't really necessarily eat you. It eats your thoughts. And eat your feelings. You're scared. You're basically your deep dark secrets. That's why it's always doing those to the kids. Always trying to get them fucked up.
Okay.
So Gix is the same way. He kind of feeds off people's like pain and like pleasure and all that stuff. So, but he taps into people's brains. So basically, he's been whispering to these people, and he started his own religion, which is called the Brotherhood of Gix. So then the bunch of monks go to the caves of Corlos and fucking open the portal. He comes through and he's like, I'm here to get my dragon engines back and fuck up that dude called Mishra because he was like he violated one thing. He stole something from me and he can't live. I gotta kill this bitch. So then story goes on. So he's doing this whole like in the shadows type deal. So basically he's conned these people into a brotherhood, a cult, to basically, and now they infiltrated Mishra's court and Urza's court. So at this point, these Gex, the Brotherhood of Gex, are been playing both sides, and then basically he's trying to get the brothers alone, and so when he gets them alone, he can kill them and steal the stones.
Okay.
So, but see, he finally gets his chance to get Mishra alone, and as he tries to kill Mishra, the weak stone actually protects Mishra for some weird reason. So he couldn't even do it. He couldn't even touch him. He has to have the brother away from the stone so he can kill him. So then that was the crazy thing about that. So basically what had happened, as time goes by, the war gets worse. Mishra creates the Armageddon clocks, the ground breakers, and then time is going by to where everybody's getting older, and Urza's son, Harbin. That's his name, Harbin.
Oh, Harbin. You just paused there, so I didn't know if like...
I wanted to make sure I was right. I was like, yeah, it's Harbin. Yeah, so Harbin's a lot older now. So at this point, he wants to be an ornithopter writer, be in war, and they're pretty much... At this point, they're at the tipping point where they've exhausted all resources in their lands and around the area into this war. And Mishra's getting old. Urza's getting old. Mishra's like pretty much almost fucking dying. And then right before they get to Argath, the land where it has been touched by man, because it has these like storms around the island to where it can't get fucked with. Like nobody can come in past the storm. But Harbin crash landed there by accident. And then you meet the character Gwen. She's an actual Magna card. She's out of Legends. She's like, she's the chick that's laying on her back and like bringing the guys coming towards her. She's got like some skimpy stuff. I think she like gains control of a dude or kills a dude.
Gwen?
Yep.
Gwendolyn D. Corsi?
Yep. That's her. She's an elf, right? Or something like that. Or elf or fairy?
It shows someone's legend. Human rogue.
Maybe that's...
Target player discards a card at random.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was her. But either way. So she had a chance to kill Harbin, but she spared his life because Titania had a law in Argath saying that if anybody kills if any invader kills or disrupts the forest at any time, they are killed on sight. And so Harbin luckily finds a dead tree, fixes his ornithopter, flies off, tells his dad all about it. So basically at this point, that happened. So he flies back home, tells Urza about the plan. So then we go back to Mishra again. So Mishra is now dealing with the fact that so what had happened is that Mishra got word about this island through the Gex's Brotherhood, because they're playing both sides, and they gave him the information because they found out the information was on, because they're part of Urza's court. So also a little bit time skip. I didn't think it was too relevant, but Ashnod got banned because she, during the little battle scuffle, Tonos got kidnapped. He got unconscious. They recovered him. They tortured him in the rack. That's where you get to find out about the rack. And she let him go because Tanos did the same thing for her. So then he escapes. The Brotherhood of Gex said, no, you let him go. And Mishra was like, well, I can kill you right now, but I'm not going to. You're just banished. So then she gets banished. But then right when Mishra finds out about the whole situation, he's invading the ivory towers. So this is the first time you ever hear about this, and this is the first appearance, and they talk about mana, and they talk about magic. So the monks there, the scholars, there's one chick named Hercule, and she uses magic for the first time in front of everybody to make 2 dragon engines disappear. They just vanish, but she gets killed in the process because it took so much energy from her that she just kind of like, you know, fell to the army, to the Fallacian army. They just kind of killed her. And so basically Feldon and another chick were like, okay, we got to get the fuck out of here. And they took the Silex. So Feldon gave the girl the Silex. So she ran away, and then as she's making her way out of the city and through these cavern stuff, boulders fall on her. And then it's fucking Ashad. She fucking threw those boulders on her. So then she basically almost killed this chick. And then she was like, this Silex is kind of weird. And then she can kind of read the Thoran on it already because she's been studying with Mishra. And then the girl, not the girl, but the woman that had the Silex with her, she was like, she found out that she was alive. She's like, no. She's like, oh, we're gonna torture her. She's gonna tell us more about this. So then, as that happened, she presents the Silex to Mishra. And Mishra is like, when she meets up with Mishra, so I think it said is AR-64. So they're pretty much the 64. So you know how I was saying they were, Mishra and Urza looking pretty much fucking old. Mishra's looking pretty bad shape. So the last time she saw Mishra, he was like pretty much like coughing and just kind of like fucking like super overweight, you know, like beaten down, just not in good shape.
Skipping leg day.
Yep. So so then she came back with the Silex and some other trinkets and stuff. And when she saw him, he looked younger. He was very muscular. His gray has gone away. And he's got just a different look to him. And he looks more like dark, she said, the way they describe it. Like, it was just like fire in his eyes. And then she presents this the Silex into him, saying it's a very powerful thing because she did the research through it. And then he was like, this is magic. It was like, magic. So he keeps saying the word fucking magic. So, and I'm like, God damn it, whatever. So then he's like, so that's the first time they mention the word magic. He said, this is just trickery. You know, this is just something stupid. So then he was like, and then Ashia was kind of like sad because he had never really talked to her like that. And then she was very disappointed on what the situation was the way the situation turned out. And then the Gix, the Brotherhood of Gix, tried to take the Silex from him, but she gave him a duplicate. So then they have a duplicate version, and she has an actual real one. So then this is pre-arrival to Argoth, the land of Titania. So we're her realm, where's Argoth, and then there's this war. So the one brother is on the other side of the island, and the one brother is on the other side. And the only reason Urza was there was because he found out Mishra was going there. And then he also brought the machine to him. He also brought the machine to him. It was the Colossus. It's an old artifact. It's like a 9/9. It can't be blocked by less than 3 creatures, something like that. It's an artifact creature. It's called Colossus. They talk about it in the book. So Urza made that. So now they're spending some time on this island, and they're basically trying to basically get all the resources so they can pretty much turn the tides on the war. But at the same time, the brothers are trying to collect resources but trying to kill Titania at the same time. And then Urza, it comes to the point where there's a final battle, and all they had missed, and after the whole big battle scene was over, the ones that meet up in the battlefield first were Ashiod, and because why do I keep saying Ashiod? Dang it. Ashnod. Either way, so Ashnod and Tanos meet up in the middle of the night, and they're basically just trying to catch up, right? So she offers the Silex to him, and she's like, tell Urza to fill it up with memories of the land, which is mana. So, and then because she was at this point, she knew there was something different about Mishra. She didn't care about anything anymore because there was no return for Mishra. So she was like, fuck it, let's just blow this bitch up. So then Tanos is like, okay. And as he goes to reach for it, Gex comes out of nowhere, out of the just fucking shadows, and he tries to kill them. But then Ashnod keeps him at bay with her rod, but she modified it a little bit different. So at the same time, it was keeping him at bay, and it was like stinging him. It was just basically he was just like screeching, and he was just basically kept at bay with the thing. But again, her rod is a double-edged sword, so the more you use it, the more energy is taken from you. So Ashnod tells Tanos to be like, hey, I just go run, man. I got this. He's like, no, you don't. He's like, no, I got this. No, you don't. And then he says, get the fuck out of here. So that he leaves. And at the same time, he catches it goes back to Gex, and he's trying to oh no, it doesn't go back to Dex yet. So then Urza is out and about, and then he's out and about, and then he goes to the battlefield looking for Tanos. So then Tanos is like, here's the Silex, fill it with the memories of everything. And then Urza can read it, and he was like, oh. So then, because it says fill it with memories and restart the world, basically. And then Urza tells Tanos to go hide somewhere, because Tanos is giving him the Silex, Misha comes out of the shadows. So he's just like, and Urza notices that he looks younger. He looks different, just different. And then he talks about it. He's like, hey, how's it going, brother? And then Urza tells Tanos, go hide. Go somewhere, hide by the biggest boulder or whatever.
Is he about to pop the Silex?
I think he is. So he's going to pop the Silex. Because Urza had heard rumors of the Ivory Tower prior to this, about how this thing called mana and magic, and he didn't believe it, or he's starting to believe in it, but Harbin told him it's just fake, don't listen to it, we have to use the resources, what we were normally doing. Now that we have this island, we can win this war. So then he was like, yeah, you're right, let's just stick to what we were doing. But he's already has like a foot in the door on this magic scene. So then him and Mishra are talking back and forth, And it's just basically at this point, by the way, he sent Harbin home prior to the big battle. So, but Tonos was there. So Tonos left the scene. He's gone. And then, at this point, Mishra and Urza are using their power stones, are using their stones against each other. And then when he actually blasts away or something. Blast away. Yeah, he blasts away Mishra, and he kind of rolls down this hill, and then he's like, well, I'm gonna use a Silex now. So he crouches down, pretty much like crosses his legs and puts the Silex in his lap. And he's also bleeding from his head from it. So as he's reading and remembering like the old times at the camps and stuff like that, the Silex is starting to glow. And there's like kind of blood and stuff. And then all he hears is this giant roar coming out of the woods from the hill where Mishra fell down. And it's Mishra, but he's like part dragon engine. So he's no longer like Mishra anymore. It has half his face features, but he's basically machine. And he starts charging at Urza. And then as Urza sees Mishra, he starts crying. And then he realizes that that's not his brother anymore. And then pretty much pops the Silex. So then it's a white flash. And then at this time, Gix comes out of the shadows, and he's realizing he's full of blood, like blood all over him. So he must have killed Ashnod. So he's trying to run. He has almost a teleport ability, but it's like through the shadows. It's kind of like a weird teleport. So he's teleporting to the caves, and he's trying to get in there, trying to get into the portal, because he told the Brotherhood to start it up, and because he can remember, he can whisper through people's heads. So he told him to jump start it as he teleports, and then the white light is still following him. So he jumps, gets to the cave, and he goes through the portal. As he goes through the portal wasn't strong enough. He barely makes it out of the way from the Silex's blast. But then his arm from his elbow and up, or from down, basically got cut off. So his arms there just hanging out, clawing.
Was that where the card Claws of Gix comes from?
Oh, that's cool. That's the cool, yeah. So then it pretty much gets blasted. The whole island just gets fucking leveled, and then Kayla, his wife, it goes into hers, and where Harbin sees, saying they saw a white light and a gust of wind coming from afar, the direction of the island, and then that's pretty much really it. So at this point, Urza's just sitting there by himself, and then everything's just wiped out on this whole island. And then he goes looking for Tanos. So then he finds Tanos in his coffin. He put himself in his coffin, which survived the blast. So he pulls out Tanos, and then Tanos was talking to him, and he's like, he notices that Urza's hair has grown back. Like the color of his hair is blonde again. He's not like so hunched over like super. He looks old, but not as old and brittle as he used to. And he noticed that the two colors in his eyes were the Power Stone, or the Might Stone, the Weak Stone. And then he says, "Well, the war's over. Now we can go home." And he says, "Well," Urza's like, "I'm not going home." He says, "Where are you gonna go?" He says, "Somewhere far away." He says, "Where's that?" He says, well, then he's like, he says, "You may not be able to see it, but I've seen multiple universes out there." So he's like, "Oh, okay." And then so pretty much Tonos goes back to where where his kingdom's at, where not his kingdom, where
he resided.
Where he resided, and Urza just blinks out of existence.
Oh, his spark ignited.
Yeah. So that's kind of the gist of the whole story. I mean,
that's the gist of the Brothers' War.
Yeah, I mean, I still feel like I cut through it too fast, and just to get through it. I mean, I'm not trying to, but so what I got from this whole thing is like the brothers. They went, like I mentioned before, they went from like caring about you because they only had themselves to caring brothers to something that could have worked out if they actually just talked to each other.
Yeah.
And they didn't. They're just so fucking stubborn, and they've lost more than they actually won anything in this whole thing, and they warped the whole fucking reality, just because of that situation. And then at the very end of the chapter, it goes back again to the Brotherhood of Gix, and they open the portal again, and Gix comes clawing out of it again.
Yeah, because the world's now in the Ice Age after that blast, right?
Yep. It starts a new age. So, but it's at the same time, there's a lot of stuff. There's I think the war could have been super prevented if they would just talked.
Yeah.
And it's just like some of the things were out of their control, like that Warlord Krug was basically trying to kill the kid, the leader of because he was now the leader of the tribe. But at the same time, they used Mishra to try to dominate the desert.
Yeah.
And Mishra, like a fucking idiot, just said, "Yeah, I'll follow you," even though he had 2 dragon engines, didn't have to fucking listen to anybody. But he just followed the orders.
Yeah.
And it led him down the path of basically dark, and one brother not necessarily went the path of the light. I mean, they both went down a path of bad dark, because one just looks lighter than the other one because the other ones didn't have to do with Phyrexia. But Urza was so isolated most of this. Like, as the older he got, more and more he pushed his way away from people, and there was only like 1 or 2 people he talked to. Tanos was one of them. Harbin was the other one. Other than that, he had no interactions with a lot of people. He just kept inventing. He kept making that statement. It's like, he says, "All I want to do is create inventions. All I want to do that. All I wanted to do is that." So I mean that's. I mean, I don't know, man. But again, if Urza wasn't, there's that regret. He talks about that a lot, and as the story goes on, he's like, "I regret not doing this," and that was part of the emotions that went into the Silex. They regret that he couldn't save his brother. So that kind of popped that thing. And again, that's one of the biggest things where Planeswalkers happen. Where it takes tremendous emotion to activate it.
Yeah.
So
that's why I was guessing that his
but yeah, I mean, the only reason he survived it is because of the Might and Weak Stone, the blast.
Yeah.
I mean, they fused in his head. So they're in the time stream, they try to pull it out of his fucking eyes. Yeah. There was I think it was a Phyrexian agent.
Yeah.
I read that book, and that was because he was fighting one of them.
It wasn't Zancha, was it?
She's part of the island. So there was a big island, and she was one of them.
Yeah, because I know she's one of the agents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was one of them. It talks about. I like the time stream one. It talks to fairies in it, Johora, Karin.
Oh, a lot of major characters.
Yeah, Baron's in it. Everybody, most of the big boys. Yeah, it talks about how Teferi. I think how Teferi got his powers. It's pretty cool. His time power, because he was trapped in a time stream.
Yeah,
he was just trapped there for years and years and years, and that's why Johora is so young, even though she's like fucking hundreds and hundreds of years old. is because she was on that island, and then the things she was eating and the things she was going like, cause so when then Urza had his island, there was a bomb that went on. It wasn't it was because they had time lapse, and that's what he made Karn for, to put him in this chamber, and this chamber would go back in time, would send a person back in time, and it would just Urza kept pushing the boundaries of how far this machine can send somebody back, but he sent somebody back like it was like really minor seconds. Not seconds, but like a minute or an hour or something back as far as you can send it. But that made the machine pop. So that made all these like pretty much bubbles of like speeds, like bubbles of like time, but they were like, some were really slow and some were really, really fast. So it was really, really weird. So
I'll have to read up on that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like the time stream one, and it's basically Teferi was trapped in the slow one for the long, but he was on fire the whole fucking time. Jahara like threw a towel on him, and she would watch him on the like daily to see the towel slowly get to him, and eventually it landed on him.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
All right.
So yeah, that's the Brothers' War. It's pretty much really it.
And then as per usual, because we always have to, we're gonna do a quick shout out to the Patreons: Silverstorm Gaming, Justin, Greg S, Justin R, and James, and I can't remember his last name, so I won't do the initial. But next podcast is going to be back to the normal, usual banter that we do. I may even do a little side thing tonight, starting for the little mini episodes that the Patreons can get. If you're interested in becoming a patron, check out our Patreon. We have 3 different levels.
Wait, you're going to do something by yourself?
I got to. Your schedule's so kittywampus.
You heard it here, folks.
It was 2 weeks till we got this done.
Okay.
So I told you this like weeks ago that I can even do stuff at the house.
Okay.
I have no clue what the fuck I'm going to talk about.
Okay. No, you're big boy.
Okay, I'm not going to do it because apparently I don't even know why you would have remotely
you're
have
the coolest guy I know.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. I got to get going.
All right.
See you guys.
Yep. Bye.